All right, everyone, welcome back to school. This is our first unit. So if you're here, maybe you missed the notes or maybe you need a little bit of extra practice. So welcome to our videos at Reno High. This is unit 1, day 1, order of operations. So a lot of this is, you might understand it as order of operations instead of PEMDAS. The whole idea of PEMDAS is to tell you the order to do things, okay? So I like to think of it as going on hopscotch. If you ever did hopscotch, you can hop between the different letters, okay? So you wanna start here, so this is your starting point, and you go up. So P for parentheses, or any brackets of any kind. So parentheses is where you want to start, or maybe a square root, parentheses. Then square root would go with that one as well. And then E stands for exponent would be the next one. So exponents, anything to a power is an exponent. And then MD is together. And the reason why it's together, you're not always gonna multiply first. And this is something that is discussed a lot on social media. Because a lot of people are like, no, the answer is this, okay? The math rules say that multiplying and dividing go together. So you're gonna go left to right, okay? So if you had 10 divided by 2 times 5, you're actually going to divide first because that is on the left-hand side, left to right. So that's why for hopscotch, MD is in the same spot. It depends on what is on the left side is what you'll do first. And then the very last one is addition and subtraction. Okay? AS will be the last one, and then that will also follow the rules of left to right. Okay, so let's practice by hand. So 2 minus 3, and I'm gonna move in so you can see it better. Okay, so 2 minus 3 is -1, times 5 to the third is 125. So you would put in your calculator 5 to the third, and then divide it by 5 plus 13, okay? And then I'm gonna do 125 times -1 is -125 divided by 5 plus 3. Okay, so I did my parentheses, I did my exponents, and now I just have division and addition left. Okay, so I can use my calculator or you're doing it by hand. So you have 125 divided by 5, which is -25, -25 plus 13. -25 plus 13. The bigger one is negative, so you're going to get a negative answer. The one further from 0, not the bigger one. One further from 0. There we go. Okay, so again, always feel free to pause videos if you have questions throughout the lesson. All right, the next one, we've got 3 squared plus 4 squared. So 3 squared is 9 plus 16, and we're gonna square root that. So we're gonna deal with the square root. That's part of the parentheses, okay? We're just gonna bring everything else along for the ride. Feel free not to do this all in one step. Sometimes it takes more than one time to get things done. So 9 plus 16 is 25. Again, I'm dealing with everything inside, and now I'm going to square root. Square root, again, is part of the first steps you're gonna deal with. So 57 minus 11 times 5. So 57 minus 55 is 2. All right, so again, parentheses. And then what does this mean? This bracket right here actually means multiplying because they're next to each other. You're not gonna see an X anymore. You're not gonna see 11 times 5, right? You're gonna see them next to each other. You need to realize that that means multiplying. All right, keep moving along. So using a calculator, let's try it out. So 2 negatives make a positive. So 6 times 14 plus 9, which is 23, plus 2 to the 5th to the square root of 4. So let's think of this for PEMDAS. What is the order? So parentheses, okay, we dealt with the parentheses, okay? Now we're gonna deal with E, exponent, okay? So 2 to the 5th is what I have to do next. So 2 to the 5th power. So again, that's not 2 times 5, that's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, okay? So 2 to the 5th power, so that's 32. All right, so I have 6 times 23 plus 32 divided by 4. Okay, so now I have a multiplying problem and a division problem, and I'm gonna go left to right. So on the left side, I have to do that one first. So 6 times 23 is 138 plus, and I'm not gonna add 32, I have to do this division part. Okay, so 32 divided by 4 is what I need to do. So 32 divided by 4 is 8. Okay, now I have 138 plus 8, which is 146. Perfect. Okay, so again, I did parentheses first. Whoa, watch out. I did parentheses first. It is making me go for a ride. I apologize. All right, so I did parentheses first, and then I did exponents, multiplying, dividing, and then addition. All right, here we go. Now what happens when the entire thing is under the bracket? Well, then you have to divide and conquer. Okay, so 6 minus 10 is -4 squared plus 8. So I have to deal with everything before I square root. The square root for this one is the entire umbrella. So -4 squared into the calculator is actually 16. Okay, so 16 plus 8 is 24. So 16 plus 8 is 24. And from there, I can plug that into my calculator and see if it'll reduce for me. If it doesn't know how to reduce, your teacher might want it as a simplified form, or into a decimal. Just depends. So 4.89, which we can estimate to 4.9. Okay, moving right along. So again, we're learning PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, and add and subtract. Just be aware that parentheses can look like a parenthesis, a bracket, or a square root. We're going to be square rooting a lot in geometry this year. So remember things to remember about integer rules. Okay, so adding and subtracting. If you have 2 additions, you're going to add and keep the addition. If there are 2 negatives, you're going to add and keep the negative. And if you have a positive and a negative, which one is further from 0? Okay, so if you have this one, you're going to subtract and keep the sign of the addition. Okay, and we can, of course, write it down here. So A minus B, which A is further from 0, so then this will be a positive answer. A minus a negative B becomes a positive, so then it becomes A plus B. Negative A minus B, that means that these are both negative, so you're going to add and keep it negative. And then B minus A, if A is further from 0 and is a negative, your answer is going to be negative. Multiplying and dividing, way easier, because it doesn't matter which one is further from 0. It all matters about the sign. So a positive and a negative makes a negative and a positive makes a negative. If they're both negative, it's positive, and if they're both positive, it's positive. So same sign, positive, and different sign, negative. Please make sure you're using a calculator to make sure that your work is on track. All right, almost there. 2 more. So the square root of 36 and 29 minus 12. So the square root of 36 is 6. that is a bracket. I'm gonna bring everything else down so I don't miss anything. One step at a time, one jump on hopscotch at a time. So 29 minus 12 is 17. Okay, and now let's keep looking and see what should I do next. So, should I multiply or divide? I should divide because that's going left to right. So I have 6 minus 6 times 17. Now I will multiply. So I have negative 6 times 17, which is negative 102. So 6 minus 102. 6 minus 102 is negative 96. Okay, so be very aware of your negatives, your division and your multiplying going left to right, and then make sure you are practicing your square root button, okay? That button, so there's this x squared button on your calculator. If you press the blue second and press x squared, your calculator will come up with this square root button, okay? So you'll do square root and then 36 and click enter, and that's how you should get the 6. Please ask your teachers in class if you need help with your calculator. All right, very last one. Okay, so parentheses, there's nothing inside your parentheses, so now you can go to 7 to the 0 power, which it becomes 1. Now I'm gonna bring everything else down. So negative 32 times negative 6 plus 1 minus 5. Now we're gonna multiply. Well, the multiplying rule means two negatives make a positive. So these should become a positive, okay? The negative sign should look like this. Do not use the subtraction sign in your calculator, okay? Look for the negative sign. It's right next to the enter equal sign. Again, ask your teacher for help with your calculator. It will be super important to your learning. So 192 plus 1 minus 5. Now we're just gonna go left to right because I have an addition and a subtraction problem. So 192 minus 1 minus 5 is 188. All right, thanks so much for joining me on your review of order of operations. Have a great day.